The Dodgers offense led them to a thrilling victory. We'll take that over a thrilling defeat.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Dodger fans, this is Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks to our everydayers for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. And thanks to those of you who are with us live here late on a Monday evening. Remember, this show is free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. So please subscribe wherever you're watching or listening right now. If this is your first time with us, I am Jeff Snider. That guy next to me is my co-host, Vince Samperio. Vince and I are both lifelong Dodger fans, just like most of you. We've also both spent time covering the Dodgers in the press box and the locker room, so we bring you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue every weekday morning. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. So the Dodgers won a thrilling extra inning game against the Padres, 8-7. The bullpen was awesome. We're going to talk about them in the third segment. Dustin May was not awesome. Did give a little bit of length. We'll talk about that in the second segment. But first, we're going to dig in to the Dodgers offense, because the offense really was the story of this game, Vince. From a leadoff double by Shohei Ohtani, 2 batters later, a double by Freddie. Freeman scores him, and then Freeman ends up scoring. Dodgers jump out 2-0. The lead didn't hold, which we'll talk more about in the second segment, but it set the tone for what ended up being a very good night for the offense.
Yeah, Nick Pivetta had been really, really, really good at Petco Park this year, and the Dodgers, took him out by the 4th inning, put up all those runs. And, yeah, I think it's one of those where when you've been at home for a little while, the last homestand, and there's a few games where you're behind, and, you know how it feels when you're behind. So you kind of want to put that pressure on the other team. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out the way they wanted because the Padres came right back at it. But for them to put up 6 runs in those first few innings is huge because Dustin May didn't have it. And the Dodgers, we've talked about it right now, other than Yamamoto, every other pitcher, we don't know what we're going to get. So the offense kind of has to help out. The offense helped out. Went a little cold there in those middle innings. Luckily for in the middle late innings, luckily the bullpen, helped out the other side of things. And when it came down to it in extra innings, I don't know I got to look it up what the Dodgers record in extra innings is now, but they're playing a lot better than when they used to play in extra innings.
Yeah, it used to be a running joke at how bad they were in extra innings. But yeah, it's at least it doesn't feel like a foregone conclusion that they're going to lose. But you mentioned Nick Pivetta, getting him out of there after 4 innings. He threw 93 pitches in 4 innings. The Dodgers worked him hard. And, he gave up 5 runs, 4 earned, 8 hits, and 2 walks. So 10 base runners in 4 innings. We're going to talk about how bad Dustin May was in this game. Dustin May threw 4 fewer pitches in 1 more inning and allowed the same number of base runners. The Dodgers didn't even have the worst starting pitcher in this game, and Nick Pivetta is very good. This was the offense getting this done, and like you said, they went a little bit cold in the later innings against the bullpen, but I mentioned this on the postcast a few minutes ago. The fact that they got Pivetta out of the game after 4 innings meant that by the time they got to extra innings, they had already used all their good relievers, and so the Dodgers got to face Wandy Peralta, whereas because of Dustin May getting through 5 and Anthony Banda going 2 innings, Dodgers had their closer available in the 10th inning, and so, but that is very much on the offense, getting the job done, getting Pivetta out of the game, and this early, the first game of a series means, that affects the other games of the series too. Obviously, it'll affect the Dodgers too. Dustin May only getting through 5, but it's a great way to start a series. The offense really needed to set the tone here, and that's what they did.
Yeah, it was, huge offensively. We talked about after, the rough weekend in St. Louis, hey, the Dodgers, if you can get 13 times to the plate with runners in scoring position every game, we'll take it. That's what they did this game, and they, got hits on 5 of them. And they scored 8 runs. It's one of those things where give me the 13 chances, and I'll take my chances as a Dodger fan that they're going to get more than a 1 hit multiple times. As many times as you get 13 base runners to try it, you're going to get those hits more than once. So, yeah, it was, great to see. There was contributions from a few different guys. Ha-Seong Kim gets the start. Michael Conforto doesn't get the start. which was great to see. He came through with an RBI double, and then, he does get pinch hit for later in the game. Kike Hernandez doesn't do anything at all really with those chances that he got batting for Kim. But yeah, it was a great win. And, I mentioned this in the short, it felt like not complete October stress, but like, light October stress in June. Most are because you just want to win more than the actual ramifications. This game didn't ultimately matter, but it did as a fan.
Absolutely. This was a fun game. And, I've been known to downplay this Dodgers-Padres rivalry a little bit, and that mostly just because, there's different types of rivalry. This is definitely a very good on-field rivalry right now. We'll have to see if it maintains when one or both teams aren't good anymore. That's what makes a long-term rivalry. But right now, yeah, it's a great on-field rivalry, and that makes for some fun games. And when it goes to extra innings, back and forth like this one, very intense, very fun. I hope it's much less fun tomorrow. I hope it's a much more easy Dodgers win. You mentioned the 5 for 13 with runners in scoring position. They also had 2 sacrifice flies, which also gets the job done. They got the job done in many ways, and it was very good to see after those struggles in St. Louis. We should probably talk about Ha-Seong Kim a little bit, if for no other reason that I promised on the postcast that we would probably talk a little bit about Kim. You mentioned Kike Hernandez pinch hitting for him. They did let Kim face a lefty one time, and he got a double. He's now 3 for 3 in the major leagues this season against lefties. As I mentioned the other day, in AAA this year, he was better against lefties than he was against righties. And I said, I think it was just yesterday, like this is becoming a daily topic. I do think this has more to do with Kike than with Kim. It's like, well, Kike's role on this team is to match lefties, so we need to give him opportunities to match lefties so we know if he has a role on this team. Kike started the year 2 for 3 pinch hitting with a homer and a double. Since then, he is 0 for 8 with 5 strikeouts as a pinch hitter. It is rough to watch, and I am at the point where I need those at-bats, those Kike at-bats, to not come at the expense of Ha-Seong Kim anymore. Obviously, Michael Conforto, even though Conforto has reverse splits, Conforto hasn't earned those at-bats the way Kim has. Pinch hit for Conforto with Kike if you need him to chance to hit a lefty. Pinch hit for Muncy. You want late in the game, you probably would rather have Kike at third base than Muncy anyway. So if there's a tough lefty on the mound against Muncy, pinch hit for him with Kike. Give him those chances. It's time, I think, to let Kim have his chances.
Yeah, like you said, you need to see what he is at this point. And an everyday player is a lot different than, a very good utility player. And the Dodgers can figure out that they have an everyday player, that the emergence of Pages, that really helps out building out, what you need for the rest of the team or the rest of the year in terms of the trade deadline and stuff like that. At this point, Kike, he kind of is what he is in the regular season. You don't know what you're going to get. It's a mixed bag. He's come through in the postseason, his OPS in the postseason, obviously way smaller sample size, but enough of a sample size that it's, something is better in October than it is in the regular season. And right now, the way he's going, there's no reason to give him at bats. He hasn't been a lefty masher this year. He's actually hitting better against righties this year. And for right now, I think you kind of need to ride the Kim wave and see what he is. And, I'm not going to pound the table or anything, but I'm pretty close to it.
Yeah, I understand why Dave Roberts is doing what he's doing, that, you do need to give Kike chances. But, and so I'm not opposed to Kike. As frustrated as Kike's at-bats are, for me these days, I'm not opposed to him continuing to get those at-bats. I just think they need to not come at Ha-Seong Kim's expense anymore, especially because defensively, Kim is solid at multiple positions. So you're not even, if he hits for Muncy or Conforto, at least he's also then a defensive upgrade, even if he's an offensive downgrade. But he's not a defensive upgrade necessarily for Kim. It's just, so I get why they're doing it, but I hope they stop doing it. So, Dustin May, we got to talk about Dustin May because the Dodgers need Dustin May right now. And while he did pull out some positives of this game, they need a better version of what they got on Monday night. This episode is brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you will find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Hey, we are back. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Thanks for being an everydayer if you are. If you're not an everydayer, it's easy to become one. Just watch or listen every weekday morning. You can make that easier on yourself by subscribing wherever you're watching or listening right now. You can also go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. Text directly with us, one-on-one conversations, get our thoughts before the podcast, and get access to our exclusive Discord server where you can talk Dodgers all day and all night with other Locked On Dodgers fans. And be sure for your second listen, check out Locked On MLB, hosted by our buddy Paul Francis Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully. So Dustin May, Vince, I don't know if you looked at the overall numbers. Dustin May threw 89 pitches, and he threw 48 strikes. That means 41 balls. And that was actually an improvement because he pitched much better his last 2 innings than he did his first 3 innings. He was, after 3 innings, he was underwater. He had thrown more balls than strikes. You know, I kind of joked in the first segment that Dustin May wasn't even the worst starting pitcher in this game. Realistically, he was. Like, the Dodgers got some big hits off Nick Pivetta. Dustin May was hurting himself. Like, the Padres got some hits, but mostly this was Dustin May saying, oh, I found this gun and I got this foot. Might as well shoot it, you know?
It was frustrating to watch, especially with the Dodger offense putting up the runs early in the game. You know, they put up 2, he gives them back. You know, they put up 2 more, he gives them back, or whatever it was. You know, if Teoscar Hernandez was almost any other right fielder, you know, maybe those other runs don't score. But ultimately, that's not what the issue was. The issue was that he had all those runners on base and that he let Tyler Wade hit a ball. Like, it got to that point because of him. And yeah, it's frustrating. May's been a very, you know, I don't want to bring up the coin flip thing again, but that's essentially what he's been. I mean, you look at 5 innings, 1 run, 6 innings, 3 runs, 6 innings, 1 run, 5 innings, 7 runs, 5 1/3, 3 runs. Like, he's been up and down, especially more so the last month. But it's one of those, he's pretty James Paxton-esque right now, in the fact that he's giving you length. He's giving you 5 innings every single start he's made. And the 2 times that he's had his worst starts were against the Cubs, and in this start, he gave them 5 innings when the Dodgers really needed it because they have a uncertain bullpen-esque game coming up. I think, and the Cubs one that had a bullpen game coming up in that series, or right before, right after, whatever it was. So there's value in that, but there's also value in throwing strikes.
And there's more value in 6 innings, you know, and that's the thing. Like, if you're going to throw 90 pitches, you need to get through 6 innings. And that's we have to grade on a curve in order to call this a good start for Dustin May. Oh yeah. After those first 3 innings,
well, if he would have threw 90 pitches, he would have gotten to the 6th.
Yeah, but he threw 89 pitches, right? So,
yeah. Well, I'm saying if he would have gotten to the 90s.
Yeah. But it's, you know, we could definitely say, and it's definitely true, after those first 3 innings, it was a borderline miracle that he got through 5 innings. And it looked like the Dodgers bullpen might have to cover 6 innings, or in this case 7, since they went to extra innings, you know. So the fact that he did get through 5, yes, that's laudable, but we need more from him at this point, especially where the Dodgers are with their rotation right now, where they are with their bullpen. It was nice to see they have, like, it's actually a hard decision now when the Dodgers call up Matt Sauer tomorrow. It's like, there used to be like, oh, which one of the 4 bad relievers on the roster right now are they going to send down or DFA to make room for him? Now it's like, there's really only the one, you know? And so, sorry, Jose Urena, you know, that you are the odd man out now because everybody else is either good or has potential to be good. And so having the Dodgers bullpen back where it is, it would have been really nice to have Dustin May get through 6 innings and and give that even more of a boost, because now they had to use the bullpen on Sunday and Monday. It's going to be a different kind of game, this bullpen game on Tuesday. That's, why I'm positive they will actually activate Matt Sauer, because they're probably going to need 5 or 6 innings from him.
Yeah, it's had the Dodgers offense not showed up, had it been 6-0 after those 5 innings with May, Jose Urena probably would have threw until he couldn't throw anymore, and then would have, unfortunately, for himself, would have been DFA'd in order to get Matt Sauer on the roster. But the fact that the Dodgers were in it and had the chance to chase the win, Dave Roberts went for the win. And we talk about going for the win. Overall idea, you don't need to go for all the time. But right now, the way the Dodgers are built, you need to go for the win when you can, especially when you have it that close and when you have your normal relievers somewhat rested. So they did it. They happened. Yeah, leave that problem for tomorrow. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Maybe the offense puts up another 8 runs, and you don't ultimately have to worry too much about it. But yeah, for May, it's one of those where you're built up now, you're healthy now. This is the most you've ever pitched, but you can start peeking at the horizon of, okay, Tyler Glasnow's going to throw a bullpen, Blake Snell's going to throw a bullpen. Ohtani's
Sheehan.
Yeah, and Sheehan could be one rehab start away. A little bit further down the line, Ohtani, like you're kind of pitching for yourself. And, the fact of the matter is May has beaten himself in the times that he's had rough starts.
Absolutely. And we came into this series looking at the Dodgers starters, Dustin May, who knows, and Justin Robleski. And our thought was the offense needs to win this series. But this game was the game where it's like, okay, hopefully the starting pitching can at least do their part, And now, with how Robleski threw the other day, with, Sauer and Kasperius and Dreyer, whoever it is going tomorrow, like it's very realistic that this might end up being the worst pitching performance of the series for the Dodgers. I hope it is. And I hope the offense keeps showing up. But yeah, that's not the position you want to put yourself in if you're Dustin May, because right now you're not in danger of losing your job. But between, like you said, Emmett Sheehan and Tyler Glasnow and Blake Snell and Shohei Ohtani, Tony Gonsolin, we don't know when he'll be back, but there is some potential for losing your job if you don't start pitching better. And again, like I have no doubt that Dustin May is just as frustrated as we are. Like I'm sure it's a very frustrating feeling. I've never done it at the big league level. I remember in minor B one time, I walked 7 straight batters. That was frustrating. But I don't remember all the emotions, and it wasn't quite the high stakes as a Dodgers Padres game. But I suspect it's probably pretty frustrating to not be able to command your pitches. So these aren't personal attacks on Dustin May, but this is, we need you to be better. And whatever work needs to go in before his next start to figure out why he couldn't throw strikes today, that work needs to go in, because we do need him to be better. I assume he'll be pitching probably in the series against the Giants, I would guess, this weekend. And then, if not then the first game of the Padres series again next week. But yeah, probably Giants, which is not going to be an easy one, just as big a rivalry. So he probably needs to figure some things out.
Yeah, because we look at it, and the average exit velocity, the highest average exit velocity on any of his pitches today was 88.5, overall 86.1. He wasn't giving up hard hits, but he also only had 5 swings and misses, and that's because it's not that he was not commanding pitches, he wasn't being competitive on a lot of them. And, it's a lot easier for guys to look at pitches and wait for some hard and over the plate when you don't know where everything else is going.
Yeah, and like we talked about with, maybe Teoscar Hernandez should have made that play in right field. I definitely think Andy Pages makes that play if he's playing right field. I think a lot of outfielders do. It was frustrating that he didn't, but, those 3 guys were on base because Machado singled, Merrill walked, and Bogarts walked. And so 2 of the 3 runs that scored on that were walks from Dustin May. And yes, hitters do get some credit for walks, but I'm just going to pop this up. Jackson Merrill's at bat. Not a 4-pitch walk. None of those pitches were close. Not even close. Jackson Merrill, you don't get any credit for that walk. That was a Dustin May walk. Let's see Xander Bogarts walk. I'm not joking right now when I tell you that in the box showing me the 5 pitches, I could only see 3 of the pitches in the box. One of them, none of them were in the strike zone. Bogarts did foul off a pitch that was a foot inside. Pitches 1 and 4 were both so bad that they don't show up in the box. So those are Dustin May walks. Like that's why that 3-run double happened. Yeah, or 3-run triple, I guess. Yeah, Teo should have caught the ball, but it should have been a 1-run triple when he didn't catch it instead of a 3-run triple. But that's enough about Dustin May, because the other part of the Dodgers pitching equation in this game, the bullpen, absolutely lights out. We mentioned Anthony Banda, who was my player of the game, but everybody who pitched in this game in relief was awesome, and they deserve their credit, so we're going to give it to them. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Do you ever check your bank account and wonder, where in the world did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it is easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances, because Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. You probably have several different accounts. You have bank accounts, you have your mortgage, you have your car payment, you have your investments, you have all those different things. You don't need to log into all those places. Monarch Money can track them all for you. If you're sharing finances with a spouse or a partner, it makes it even easier, because managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Hey, we are back. Thank you again for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Thanks again for being an everydayer. Thanks for being here with us live. Good group here live. Thanks for hanging out with me on the postcast earlier, and for coming here for your second or third or fourth Dodgers related podcast after this fun Dodgers win. Be sure to become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. It's a lot of fun over there. So after Dustin May left this game, Vince, the Dodgers used 4 more pitchers for 5 innings. Those 4 pitchers in 5 innings allowed 1 hit and 1 walk and 1 unearned run. That's it. It was dominant up and down. Anthony Banda has been Anthony Bad this year. That worked pretty well, I think. I think we should definitely leave that in.
Yeah, write that in.
Yeah, let's I'm going to write that down, make sure to use it every episode. He's been bad. He was not bad today. He was awesome. And when they really needed him to be, because I don't know about you, Vince, when May only got through 5 innings and Bond is the first guy out of the bullpen, I'm like, there's the offense is going to need to score 6 or 7 more runs to win this game. And they didn't have to. They scored 1 more run to win this game. Or 2 more runs, I guess, in the 10th inning. Like Anthony Banda was so much, he looked like 2024 Anthony Banda.
It was, great to see. And like you said, he's been bad. Overall, I think quietly, sneakily, he's been better of late. And the fact that we haven't talked about him in the last few weeks is probably indication of that, just because there's been so much other things to talk about that of what's been bad. But yeah, I mean, he gave up 2 runs against the Yankees, but this is his 4th straight scoreless appearance, and 8 of his last 9 appearances have been scoreless. There might be some inherited runners there, but yeah, he came up huge, because not only was it a scoreless outing, but it was 2 innings, and the 2 innings really, helped bridge that gap, especially since they went that extra inning. And even with, it was kind of weird, because we know the Padres, the Padres hitting has been rough lately. They've been struggling. And even though they scored some runs off Dustin May, like we mentioned, it wasn't necessarily all entirely the offense. They weren't, hitting the balls off the wall and stuff like that. So you had a little bit of confidence, but also it's one of those things where, well, you're playing the Padres, so it's probably going to be annoying. And Tatis is probably going to break out, and Merrill's going to break out, and Machado's going to keep hitting. And that didn't happen. So that was good.
Yeah, Banda did have 2 inherited runners during that stretch you're talking about, and didn't allow either of them to score. He's actually only allowed 3 of 10 inherited runners to score this year. He's done pretty well in that regard. And yeah, those 2 runs he gave up against the Yankees were the first 2 runs of the year, I think, that he allowed not on a home run. That's been his big issue this year, is the long ball. He's allowed 5 home runs this year, which is how many he allowed all of last year. But the last home run he gave up was May 18th. And we're coming, what's that, 3 weeks ago now? 22 days. That's big, and again, he's not filling us with confidence. I mean, he only has, you mentioned those, 8 of his last 9 appearances have been scoreless. And yet during that time, he only has 5 strikeouts. So I would prefer him to be getting more strikeouts. That's what you want from your relief pitchers. And that's your best chance of having scoreless outings, is to get strikeouts. So we probably need more of that from him. But you know what? Two innings and no base runners, it's hard to quibble with any of that,
Exactly. And then you go on to his other lefty counterpart, Alex Vesia, and he, gives you a big inning, and he gets the outs against, he faced top of the order, or at least a couple guys in the middle of the order for them. Yeah, it's one of those things where you get guys back, in Kopech and Yates, and they're pitching in later innings. And then you have Vesia and Banda pitching in, not as quite high leverage innings. And maybe that helps out. Vesia is still pitching high leverage, even with his struggles. But yeah, this is what you want to see out of your bullpen. And, I think the Padres, maybe Padre fans weren't thinking about it in the moment, but I know it's not 24 innings, but it's been a lot of innings since they scored off the Dodger bullpen. Other than not having a runner on second base. Yeah,
absolutely. And, Vesia, just like Banda, has given up too many home runs this year. He kept the ball in the park. He struck out Sheets and then got ground out from Bogarts and a fly out from Cronenworth. Easy peasy inning. And then Kirby Yates came in the 9th inning. Obviously, a huge situation. It's a tie game, bottom of the 9th inning. And this was the 8, 9, and 1 hitters coming up, and he did what he needed to. He struck out Lockridge and Diaz, which is when you're Kirby Yates, that's what you should do to the 8 and 9 hitters when you come in to pitch them. You should strike out both of them. And then Fernando Tatis worked a walk, maybe with a little help from Mike Estabrook, but he did work that walk. It ended up,
I wasn't mad at the walk.
I wasn't heartbroken by the walk, even especially because it ended up not mattering. But you would rather have Luis Ariz be on second base to start the 10th inning than Fernando Tatis. So after the fact, after they got out of the inning, I didn't hate it because Ariz isn't going to win the game on one swing the way Tatis is. I was pretty nervous that Tatis was going to steal second, at which point then Ariz can end the game with one swing. Luckily, Ariz swung at the first pitch and hit a lazy fly out to the outfield, and Yates got out of it. Kirby Yates has looked, I know it's only 2 games that he's been back, but he's looked really good since he came back.
Yeah, and he's looked, pretty good most of the games this year. And he's obviously a big addition because, like you said, who would have been pitching in that situation? Arania or someone else would have come in earlier. That might have been Banda or Vesia. Maybe the higher stakes get, you never know how guys are going to react to certain things. So that was huge. But yeah, I mean, I'm a rational Dodger fan on here, but, sometimes I have irrational group chats while the game's going on. And it was one of those, when he got the first 2, I was like, when he got the first out, and I said, okay, if he gets this guy out, walk Tatis. Not even worried so much about, I would rather see, I don't know. I don't know if I'd rather see Arias win it with a base hit rather than Tatis with a homer, but it was just one of those things where, I just want to see Tatis win it right now. But ultimately it worked out. And then Tanner Scott, my mom's a Padre fan, so, we're texting back and forth a little during the game. And, before that inning, and me knowing Tanner Scott's been better of late and has made a change that's made him look better, I had to give my mom a little bit of let's see which Tanner Scott's going to pitch today. But I kind of knew which Tanner Scott was going to pitch today.
Yeah, he did make a bad pitch to Jackson Merrill. Very bad 2-strike pitch. I was listening to the radio broadcast at the time, watching, but listening to Steven and Rick over there. And Rick Monday was not pleased with that pitch. And yeah, it's a bad pitch. But you know what? That's why you score 2 runs in the top of the 10th inning, so that one bad pitch doesn't kill you. And you can, I'd rather have him go after Jackson Merrill than walk him there, and I would have rather have him go after with a better slider, but in the end, didn't hurt anything.
Any other spot other than where he put it would have been a strikeout.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great pitch selection, just poor execution. But that happens 80 times a game. A pitcher not throwing a pitch where he meant to. that sometimes it gets hit. This strikeout to Manny Machado was fun. Struck Machado out looking. You know what? On the TV broadcast, it looked like he was outside, but everything I've seen on the actual StatCast stuff, it looks like it clipped the corner. It was probably a good call. It definitely wasn't Mike Estabrook's worst call of the night, and it was actually probably the correct call. Getting to see Manny Machado upset is always fun, and the first pitch of the at-bat was probably a strike, and they called it a ball, and so maybe that was payback or whatever, but a Manny Machado strikeout followed by a Manny Machado crybaby moment is definitely a fun thing.
Yeah, the way it ended, it all worked out and it was fun. And at that point, I understand why Mike Show went out there, but I would have let Machado, get ran just for the fun of it, especially with cam. Like, I don't know if those things have audio, but if they do, I'd love to hear what the audio was. And it was one of those where you're like, okay, now I can, breathe a little bit better, even though it's June 9th. That was a game where you were invested a little bit once it kept going.
Absolutely.
More so than normal.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fun baseball game. If you like baseball, we talk all the time about enjoy the regular season, and this is part of what you can enjoy about the regular season. This is great baseball, very fun, very tense, but also, knowing if they do lose, I won't have to cry like I do when they lose in October. I can just move past it, just be mad for an hour or two. But it was a great fun game, and definitely much more fun because they won.
Oh yeah.
And so that was I guess after the Jackson Merrill double, he gets a pop out from Gavin Sheets, lazy flat from Xander Bogaerts. Like, very good Tanner Scott performance. And Tanner Scott, he will have another bad game at some point this season, and people will probably overreact. But I'm happy to see Tanner Scott back to being roughly what we expected him to be. So.
Yeah, it's good timing.
And good start to the series. Dodgers obviously winning the first game sets them up nicely for a chance to win the series. Worst case scenario, they're still in first place at the end of the series. Best case scenario, maybe they're up by 4 games. So go out and win the series tomorrow, and then you can get greedy and go for a sweep on Wednesday. You got anything else for today, Vince?
Nothing else.
All right, that'll do it for us. Thank you all for being here with us tonight. If you're live, we really appreciate that. Good group live, good group in the chat. We appreciate all of you. Thanks for being an everydayer. If you're not an everydayer, it's easy to become one. Just watch or listen every weekday morning. Obviously, you can make that easy on yourself by subscribing wherever you're watching or listening right now. Also, be sure to check out the new Locked On MLB Game Night. Local analysis from all the Locked On hosts about every game, every day. You can find that on the Locked On MLB YouTube channel or wherever you get podcasts. You can also go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Vince is on Twitter at VinceSince91. I'm on Twitter at Snydog, and both of our DMs are open there. You can also email us, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or send us a voicemail or a text message at 323-863-LOCK5625. We are here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car or sit on your couch, tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Have a good one.
Got it.